It is not a right side and left side. It is are you a good person or are you struggling with diversity in your area?
Everyone wants to leave a legacy of positivity in the world around them. Whether you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a nonprofit executive director, or even a soon-to-be entrepreneur, one fact is always true. The easiest and most effective way to catalyze change in the world around you is through commerce and through business. But how do you do it? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Changemakers Collective, a place where people can come and get educated and encouraged and empowered to be the impact agent in the world around them. Brought to you by Silverback Ventures, Steph Thomas and Scott Woods have over 50 years combined experience helping companies and owners amplify the voice and multiply the impact of purpose-driven businesses. Join us each week as we discuss what it means to live a life of purpose on purpose.
Welcome back to Changemakers Collective. I'm Steph.
I'm Scott.
And I want to take 5 minutes to talk about the climate of America.
Go for it.
And how it's going to affect your business. So we are home-based in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We have recently been a part of a
current terrorism of the ICE organization.
Right. But as an entrepreneur, right? Or even a business owner, this is a thing. You have employees that are afraid to go to work, whether they are born in America or they are on work permits or, have become a citizen of America.
Or in the process of the 8-year process to become a citizen.
Right. I mean, this is a real thing, and it's creating, not only in Charlotte, but in a lot of places, a lot of stress. We were just talking to someone about, driving to work may be a thing. So as a business owner, how do you talk to your team? How do you get ahead of the psychological safety in your workplace right now during this? Because we know that ICE will move on to a different location, and whether it's warranted, not warranted, whatever your feelings are or wherever you land on the political stand, it's a real thing that's happening right now in the workforce.
Well, 100%. Same thing. You could take all of the recent 2025 political actions that have caused angst for business owners and individuals. You had first started with the tariffs. All of a sudden, your goods and services cost 50, 100, 150% more. That's a real thing.
Your government contracts got canceled.
Correct. But I think this one in particular, with the enforcement or subjugation of the United States under the guise of, hey, we're going to enforce our borders, has become tenuous in the fact that it's bordering on domestic terrorism, in my opinion. This is totally my opinion. I think there is a way to enforce border security, but also treat people with the dignity that they deserve as a human being, that creates unnecessary and unforced tension in the workplace, especially in an area where we have a very mixed population in the Charlotte market. There's a huge mixed population all up and down the East Coast. And as America, we are the melting pot. If we're not going to be the melting pot, then we're not America.
In any workplace right now, you have high tension with religious conversations. There's high tension with political conversations. There's high tension with race conversations. Again, wherever you fall religiously, wherever you fall politically, wherever you fall with diversity, those things are still happening if you have more than yourself and an employee in a
and
workplace.
Come on, I didn't know you were going to do this.
Sorry.
Even if you are just by yourself as a solopreneur, the fact that you have a computer and a keyboard does not make you an expert on anything.
Right.
And I think we need to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves and really understand our role as human beings is to treat others with the same dignity and respect that they deserve just by being a human, regardless of their background, regardless of their current situation, regardless of their status, regardless of all of those labels that we tend to, as a country and as a society and as humans, put on each other. We are all still humans that deserve love, respect, and dignity. And it's our job as individuals to treat people in that way and not to be hijacked by the current political system and the political parties to say one person gets a label and should be treated a different way.
Scott, you and I work with many different stands, right? When I say stands, some are
ultra conservative,
some are very liberal, and us, Silverback, we have our belief system. I mean, we are unapologetic about where we stand in our faith. But at the end of the day, we're kind to people.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Right. And when you are in the workplace, we've had to have some, personally, I'll say me personally, I have had to step back from my line in the sand, listen, active listening, level 3 listening, where I am not trying to debate you, just let me hear where you are coming from, and then give a I statement. So when I say, you can't do this, I don't want to fight with people, but I say, from my seat on the bus, here is my experience. Here is what I see. And some of that comes from a religious stand. Some of that comes from, I'm in a multiracial family. Some of that comes from, just how I believe on the pro-choice, pro-life thing. But in the workplace, that creates some, do I want to go to work? Do I want to be a part of this organization? Am I able to sit up and say, this is what I believe or not? And, then you add ICE to it, and it's just a whole other level of stress that comes to the workplace, and it's a problem.
Well, yeah, and it's stress because it's an unknown. Why in the world would we live, or how do we live in a country where that persecution, for a lack of a better term, is allowed and frankly endorsed? And I think our job as humans, our job as business leaders, is to have the discourse, is to have where we've broken down. This is an I statement, where I believe we've broken down as a country, is that we've stopped talking to each other when we have differing views on topics, instead of sitting down and seeking first to understand, instead of just browbeating people with our opinion, which clearly, if it's our opinion, it has to be right? That's how everybody thinks now, that no matter what they say, it's correct.
Right.
And everybody's entitled to their opinion. Well, no. If your opinion hurts somebody, then you need to shut up. And you need to have a conversation and say, let me understand why you feel this way. And this is why I feel this way. And come to some consensus about any given topic, whether that's how we go to market or whether that's how we treat people in the marketplace. It should be the same conversation.
I had a conversation with someone early this morning, and they said, okay, I know your views, and I know your be kind view, and there are people.
Even the way you said that, you could tell that the conversation, for those of you who are not watching, the look on Steph's face was like, this person was automatically condescending to me when they said, I know your be kind stance.
Right. Well, love means love, right? Love means love. So I said, listen, here, okay. Do I think that people that are here that are doing bad things should not be here? Yeah, I agree with that.
I think people that are doing bad things should face the justice system in an equal and systematic way, regardless of whether they live here or
Or
from
not.
here or not.
Right.
You break the law, you should go through the system of justice.
But if someone's walking down the street or, I don't know, going to work, well, we may need to take some steps to find out if we actually need to detain them or not. Going in, yanking people off the street, detaining them for no reason, and then figuring out if maybe we should or should not is just not a nice thing to do.
It's not due process as written in our founding documents as in a country. So again, I think your point around the tension that exists in our world,
In our workplace.
I think what's important is that if that is not directly impacting you as an individual, it does not mean it doesn't impact everybody else around you. And your job is to not stick your head in the sand, but to come alongside people in a real caring manner. If we believe that all people are created in the image of God and worthy of dignity, respect, and love, and yet we don't say anything and we don't support those that are being persecuted, then shame on you. That is not obviously your actions display what you feel. You know, the scripture says, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Well, if you're spewing hate, then you have to check yourself. If you can turn around and go into church and you're raising your hand and you're actually saying, I'm a big part of this church. I can tell you right now, our church that I go to would be like, look, we don't want you here.
Right.
If your heart is such that you are not meeting people where they are in love and respect and in dignity because they were created in the same image of God as you were, then you're going to have a problem and it's going to create tension. So as a leader in business, as a leader in your community, as a leader in your family, making sure that you have eyes open to the situations around you and you are empathetic to understanding what's going on and why people may be reacting the way they're reacting is an absolutely critical part of going forward and for us to create a more perfect union.
Right.
That's the only way it works.
Well, Scott, in my situation where I was having a conversation about racial diversity, I said, that's a real thing that still happens. And the individual I was talking to in a group discussion was like, well, just absolutely is not. Well, I witness it daily. Like, that's a real thing. And that's a conversation. When we are still having conversations with our children about where to place your hand on the steering wheel, then when that conversation is not a part of someone's day-to-day household, then you can tell me that racial diversity is like a made-up myth. But right now, those are real things. When we're watching in Charlotte, North Carolina, people being detained off the street, and we find out 24 hours later that, well, actually, they were a natural-born citizen of the United States who really had zero arrest records in their lifetime.
And got pulled over twice in the same day and got their truck vandalized.
Right.
And got thrown on the ground and handcuffed.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a breakdown in the system. If you bring that into the workplace, it creates high stress for our team members, our coworkers, if you're a part of a social enterprise, all of those things play a part in hostility. All I'm saying is take a beat, listen to who you're in the room with, hear where they are coming from, and understand that it is not a right side and left side. It is are you a good person or are you struggling with diversity in your area?
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I think we live in a society that is getting more and more diverse in its makeup because we live in a global community, but we're currently in a society that's getting more and more divided or more radicalized in their opinions. Our job, especially those who happen to call themselves Christians, is to bridge the gap and to break down the silos of political affiliation and ethnic affiliation and say, hey, look, we are all created in the image of God. We ought to treat each other in that way and with the respect and love and dignity we deserve. And if that's inside your business, that looks like going to somebody who clearly is feeling some kind of way and being kind enough to ask them, right? You can't serve those you don't love, or you can't love those you don't know. And you can't serve those you don't know. And the only way to get to know them is to, I don't know, have a conversation and understand where they're coming from. If they're a little slack in getting their job done, ask them instead of browbeating them and saying, well, what's your problem?
Right. Real people come to work. But I know, and again, we stand strong in our faith. But for individuals that may not believe the way that we do, right?
I mean, that don't like humans?
Well, that just don't believe in organized religion or a one true God, but they say, hey, I'm a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if that is still your stand, if you are a good person, but you are screaming out your window, go home, and your home not being America, then are you a good person? Like, what does that look like? And again, real people come to work. If you are sitting at your desk and someone is clearly stressed, not by words, but if you've worked with someone long enough, just say, hey, you okay today? You seem a little off.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. They could have had a conversation with their husband that says, bring your passport with you because you may get deported today. Just, it's stuff. So I know that's a little off topic of what Silverback usually talks about.
I think that's where we need to be. I think we talk and we're talking about being change makers in our world around us. If we're not having conversation around real stuff that's happening right now, then what are we doing here? So as you continue to be a change maker and somebody who wants to live a life of purpose, on purpose, think about others first. Don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to. Understand that real people come to work every day. Everybody's got something. So instead of making assumptions around why that person is feeling some kind of way and putting your political spin on a current circumstance or situation, seek first to understand before you get to be understood.
So until next time, be kind to one another.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for listening to the Changemakers Collective. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help us grow our community by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or rating us on Spotify.
You can also find our podcast on YouTube, so you can come and leave us a comment over there as well. If you want support growing your business and scaling your vision, visit us at silverbackventures.org or connect with us on LinkedIn.
Thanks again, and we'll see you on our next episode.